The Secret Barrister is undoubtedly one of the best books that I have ever read. I will say I haven't read Fake Law, The Secret Barrister's latest book. I'm very excited to read that, and I will talk about that as and when. But at the moment, I'm still kind of riding on a high from The Secret Barrister. The full title is The Secret Barrister Stories of the Law and How It's Broken. It's written by the Secret Barrister, who has a blog, and if I remember, I will link the blog in the description. Also, Twitter and everything else. And this is anonymous, which I think makes it very effective because, on the one hand, I'm desperate to know who the Secret Barrister is, and I'm sure one day when the Secret Barrister retires eventually, we will find out who it is. But because of the sensitive nature of the case and how raw and honest and brutal a lot of this text is, it would not be in the writer's best interest, or indeed those who have worked with the barrister, to make their identity public. So it actually kind of gives it that extra level of believability, because there will always be people with these kind of books who say that it's made up or heavily fabricated. I don't get that impression with this book at all. So this was released in 2018 from Macmillan, and there are a few captions on Amazon that I think kind of really highlight what this is about. So I'm going to read these three out to you. So the first one is, did you know that working on some cases a legal aid barrister earns less per hour than a coffee shop barista? That's very poorly written. I've just realised how abysmal the grammar in that is. That's a bit awkward for the publisher, but yeah, that's something that's highlighted a lot about how you earn very little doing a lot of work. Obviously, when you are at the very top of your game and you get these very high profile cases, and this is a junior barrister, by the way, that's worth pointing out, but when you get these high profile cases, obviously the money is a bit more in your control, but certainly not the case for the majority of people called up to the bar. The second point is, did you know that viable cases routinely collapse for lack of resources? This again is something we see in the book a lot, where our barrister works, relentlessly on a case, only for it to fall apart at the very last minute, for not his fault at all. And the third one, did you know if you are found not guilty after spending up to 2 years in prison waiting for your case to come to court, you receive no compensation? This book does highlight a lot of the issues with the legal system in the UK. I am a big fan of law enforcement, and I think we have some pretty good legal structures in place, certainly compared to some other larger countries that I won't name. But there are other countries that do it so much better than we do, and there are so many problems and quite a bit of corruption, and a lot of this is highlighted in this book. And I think that's probably part of the reason why, obviously, this is written anonymously. We do get to spend a lot of time in the courtroom. We get to find out, what type of judge wears a wig, what type of barrister is called to the bar for certain cases, the difference between a lawyer and a barrister, which is not something I knew very much. I was aware that there was obviously a distinction, but this book really kind of explains that difference. And I guess if you're keen to study law, I feel like this book would certainly help you decide whether you wanted to go down the route of a lawyer or a defense lawyer or a barrister. In hindsight, I might have studied law, but it's not something I had an interest in back when I was choosing my path, and I'm not going back to education now. I have too many dreams about forgetting to hand in my assignments. The anxiety is not worth it. But for somebody who's very much interested in the law, the stories in this are really fascinating. They're really gritty. We're given enough information to truly understand the cases, the barrister's position, what he's up against. But I'd say not so much information that you could go and Google the case, find out what it was, and then identify the barrister. So it's very cleverly written. It is very well done, and from start to finish, I was hooked, completely addicted to it. It's so beautifully written. And there are a lot of books written by barristers and lawyers, forensic psychologists, where they're not good writers. They're great storytellers, but they're not good writers. But our secret barrister is a brilliant writer. I can't vouch for how much of this was heavily edited after it, But I've read The Secret Barrister's blog, and I know the quality of the writing is there, and that definitely comes across in this book. So for me, it ticks every single box. It's well written, it's fascinating, it's engaging, it's addictive, it feels real, it doesn't feel fabricated. There is nothing about it that I do not like. I also really like the fact, as I said, that it's anonymous. For the most part, I do desperately want to know who the secret barrister is, but I completely understand why this has been done secretly. It's phenomenal. It's gorgeous. I absolutely love it. You need to read Stories of the Law and How It's Broken. If you've read Fake Law, feel free to let me know what you think of that. Please, no spoilers. I'm looking forward to getting my teeth stuck into that. But this Secret Barrister is one of the best books I've ever read. If you're interested in law and the justice system in the UK, this is 100% the next one you should read.